Say good morning to Grenada, Carriacou, Petit Martinique, the rest of the Eastern Caribbean, the world. Good morning and welcome to The Point for today. It's Thursday, the 25th day of August, with the year 2022. Good morning, it's GT with you folks, and welcome to The Point for today, folks. Let me say good morning to our listeners once again. Those of you listening via K105, good morning to you. Those of you who are viewing us via GBN TV, whether it's channel 711 or channels 20, good morning to you also, and welcome. Let me say good morning also to our social media audience. Those of you via our Facebook page, good morning, and welcome. I guess you could see that, especially those of you who are viewing via GBN TV. We have guests in studios this morning, and we have, of course, representatives from the Royal Grenada Police Force, especially the Special Victims Unit, per se, just to be precise. And with us this morning, we have for you, as they will say, ladies first, we have woman detective, that's Shamika Ferre. Hope I'm getting the name right. Good morning to you, Shamika. How you doing this morning?
I'm blessed and highly favored this morning. Good morning to you.
Thank you so much. And we do also have detective that's Kimber Coutin. I hope I'm getting your name right also, sir. Good morning to you.
Good morning to you, GT, and the listening and viewing audience.
All right. Welcome, folks, and welcome. And this morning we're talking, of course, about sexual offenses, of you being part of the special unit, the special victims unit. I don't know which one of you want to kick it off first in terms of just giving us a brief description of the unit and the sole purpose of the unit, per se. I don't know who want to kick off with that this morning. Which one are the two?
Okay, so Special Victims Unit was implemented or established in September of 2018 by the Ministry of Social Development and the Royal Grenada Police Force. Mm-hmm. All right. So basically our mandate is being to focus on enhancing the holistic services provided to victims of domestic, sexual and child abuse. Mm-hmm. It's three-dimensional and focuses on the following areas: to coordinate, monitor and provide guidance for the effective and timely intervention of investigation of all matters with regards to these three categories. All right. To coordinate also, to collaborate with stakeholders to ensure appropriate and timely intervention and to provide support for our victims, to give them timely feedback, to bring perpetrators to justice. Also to work along with members of the community groups and organizations, sensitizing and bringing awareness, and also to have school programs where we go to and visit various schools within our district, not only within the district, but within the Tri-Island state of Grenada, Carriacou and Petit Martinique, to educate them and to sensitize them on domestic, sexual and child abuse.
All right. Interesting there. Before we get on the topic that we really want to get into this morning, which is sexual offensive, I mean, how much of a use the Special Victims Unit is in Grenada, per se, if anyone wants to answer that? I mean, you can say there are units within the force. You say, well, fixing unit, but
okay, so I'll take it.
You'll take that.
Yes, I'll take it. Why? Because since the inception of the unit, I realized it was very interactive with members of the public. We're very effective. We're proactive. We're a proactive team. Although we consist of about 7 persons, presently a corporal and 6 other staff members. We would have been bombarded with reports of both sexual and domestic violence, and we realized that the unit is effective. Why? Because persons are coming to us because of confidentiality and they get a speed of response. Right. So I would say that we're very effective.
Interesting to know that. I mean, in Grenada today, we know there are various offenses, especially when it comes to sexual offenses. We've been hearing about it, it's been across the news, folks talk about it, social media and so forth. How prevalent is sexual offenses, before we go into the meat of the matter, how prevalent is sexual offenses in Grenada that this unit plays a vital role in?
Well, what I would say is that sexual offenses has been there since time memorial. But understanding the era that we're in now, especially with the whole social platform, we have a diversity of offenses that incorporates sexual offenses, and by that what I would say is that it is very prevalent, and most times a lot of times is undetected. Because what we see now is that children, minors, a person generally are sexually violated via these social medias. You may have person who may try to groom you or have conversations via WhatsApp, Instagram, and even try to cultivate sexual relationships with you. And what we see now is no longer just a male individual or whoever it is coming now and try to violate your sexual integrity or try to have sex with you forcefully or whatever it means. Now we're seeing that more so there is a lot of person taking advantage of those social medias and try to get the younger ones into sexual activities. All right. Yeah, so it's quite prevalent, I must say.
Being the unit, I mean, what are some of the most prevalent of course, how can I put this together for you? What are some of the sexual offenses that are reported the most in Grenada?
That would be the sexual intercourse with a female between the age of 13 and 16. Yeah, 13 and 16.
So we see within that age range, more or less.
Yes, these are the most reported detected offenses that we are currently witnessing. At the Special Victims Unit and by large the island, RGPF.
All right. Now, when a matter of that nature is reported, what's the process per se of going about it? What's the process?
Okay, so I'll give you the steps in sequence. So a report is made, be it to the unit or the RGPF on a whole, because the unit alone, we cannot do it alone. So it's holistic, the RGPF, because you have, besides the Special Victims, we're a subunit of the CID. So we have to give kudos also to the Criminal Investigations Department. So you walk into Guelph Police Station. I'm just giving a scenario. All right. When that victim walks in, then they would refer the matter either to the unit or they refer it to the Criminal Investigations Department. So there's a subunit of CID in each district. All right. So the person walks in. So when you get a summary report with regards to sexual abuse, what would happen is that you take that person. So if it's rape or sexual intercourse, then you as the officer have to respond immediately, because we do not take these reports lightly. It's serious. Something, trauma happened. Right? So you take that person to seek medical attention. Yes? A medical practitioner must be involved. Secondly, on completion of that, you return to the station with the individual. You obtain a statement. After that statement is obtained from the individual, then if there's a known perpetrator, alleged perpetrator in that matter, because you would have gathered statements from the witnesses and so already, then you pick up the alleged detainee or perpetrator, as we would know.
All right.
Or the offender, as persons may know. After that, the investigation, then you do up a crime docket, because it's an investigation that we're doing. So after the file would have been completed, if that person is an adult male or adult female, because we can be biased in this day and age because it's a modern era, as Officer Kutin would have expounded earlier. So if it's an adult male, then charges will be preferred against the individual, and that file will be sent to the prosecution department, all right, for them to process for a preliminary inquiry at the magistrate court. If, for instance, it's two minors, so within the age range of 13 and 13, so the perpetrator is 13, the victim is 13, then we will do our investigation like normal. A file will be prepared, and same will be sent to the Director of Public Prosecution, who we know as the DPP, for viewing. He would send back, or she would send back, the instructions for us to follow. So they might say, okay, well, these two parties, because they're of the same age, they may be experimenting, or they need some form of counseling, psychosocial intervention. So conduct a case conference, a mitigation with the parties, with their parents, along with the Child Protection Authority and the probation unit. So we get these other stakeholders involved, and we work together to come up with mechanisms or methods to curb this issue. So going forward, they would receive a series of training, be it management, anger management, or how to control their hormones, and work along with them for a period, maybe 3 months, 6 months, because counseling varies based on the individual, and that's the procedure.
Okay. Now, another question I've been just coming to think, in terms of the category of offenses when it comes to sexual, is there in terms of the category of it?
Well, yes, there is categories of offenses, but one first need to understand there are indictable offenses and then there are summary offenses.
Okay.
And when we say indict or indictment is more these offenses that would be taken to the High Court, tried by judge and jury, and the summary matters is dealt with at the magistrate court or the low court referred to.
Right.
And there are several types of sexual offenses, and it range from indecent assault, sexual assault, rape, attempt to commit sexual assault. It also goes on to the criminal electronic act that deals with like cyber offenses. And I mentioned one earlier, cultivating an online relationship with a minor, child pornography, sharing, distributing any image that has a child, depicting a child in sexual explicit conduct. And these are some of the offenses.
All right.
Right? To keep in mind.
Let's before we even proceed, let me ask one thing, because we do for break in this segment here now. Let's talk about the confidentiality aspect of this, especially when it comes to minors and so forth. How was the unit deal with that, per se?
Well, confidentiality, is one of our boards at the unit, and many would attest to that. That in any complaint we deal with at our unit or RGPF, we focus on confidentiality, and even more so on minors. If there is a minor involved as a victim or even a perpetrator, it is not our way of publicizing those information out to the public. We try to protect them and keep them safe away from the public domain as to who they are and so forth.
All right. Thank you so much, folks. It's moving up to just around 17 minutes after the hour this morning here on To The Point for today, Thursday. We're taking a short break. We're coming back and we chit-chat more with the officers from the Special Victim Unit. We're coming right back.
This could be out. Brilliant catch. What a stunning catch.
The biggest party in sports, the Caribbean Premier League, is back and live on GBN television. Capture the energy, excitement, and euphoria of the beloved game. 34 matches, 6 teams, only one to be crowned champion. The action starts August 31st and runs until September 30th. Live on GBN television at K105.5 and 105.9. It's no carnival, but you will enjoy the mass.
And you're kidding me! You are kidding me!
GBN's broadcast of the Caribbean Premier League is made possible by Republic Bank, we're the one for you, National Lotteries Authority, Hubbards, Grenada Electricity Services Limited, Hard On Plus, and Demerara Mutual Life.
Mr. mentioned the wing high, then you have things like man, you must come back, you know. We have the low power that.
It is kind of like the same man, and it's just different name for the same kind of thing.
And last but not least, I just want to say to all the men who saw me, call me, and ask for a piece of cake. I'm baking this weekend.
Join us Fridays at 8 on GBN Television, K105 FM, GBN's Facebook page, and YouTube channel for We Culture.
Welcome back, folks, so listeners and viewers of GBN this morning, whether you're listening via K105 or viewing us via GBN TV, viewing and listening via social media platform this morning, Facebook, or even those of you via our YouTube channel, good morning and welcome. As we started off this morning, we're talking to members of the Royal Grenada Police Force, especially Special Victims Unit this morning. We're talking about sexual offensive, and we of course talk about a whole lot of stuff during the first segment this morning, and we're moving to, of course, this next segment that we're going to be chatting about in terms of the effects per se of sexual offense. What are some of the that you folks may have experienced in terms of individuals who may have been sexually offended? What are some of the effects that you have witnessed or may have knowledge about that came around?
Some of the effects, I cannot say scientifically, but it's what we experience daily. We realize that most of them, you might have bedwetting, self-isolation, isolation from parents, because sometimes the parents would have had an excellent relationship with their children when it comes to communication. They used to be open, always, outgoing, but most times they complain that the child has become isolated, depressed, wants to commit suicide, express signs of showing anxiety, so suicidal, writing letters, threatening to kill themselves. Sometimes these children run away from home, and you're wondering, why is that child always running away from home? And you realize in media right now, sometimes you have the community relations department always posting, this child is missing and we're looking for such and such. But sometimes the abuse is happening at home, and because of the issues, then the parents now would report it to us. But when you speak to most of the children, they would say, I would have been abused by an uncle or my stepdad or so. So these are some of these signs, and because of these, and children become also promiscuous because they would have been abused at early ages or tender years, and as a result, maybe they would have been keeping it inside. They become introverted instead of extroverted, and as a result, these are some of the effects that we have, like some of them coming forward and they complaining. They may reach out to other persons. They might run away where they think, I might be safe by Miss Kim's house, right? And if we find that these are some of the challenges that children are faced with, then we as a police officer will go out there and meet them at the point of their need. That's what the unit does. So we meet you halfway. So because of some of these issues, you may have children coming down with sexually transmitted infections because of promiscuity. They're having sex with multiple partners, and you're trying to find out, why is this child behaving like that? Why is she promiscuous? Why is she she's selfish? And you might have all sort of negative things to say as members of the community, but try to weigh the situation. It's your responsibility to help us as the police, because we cannot do it alone. That's why we have you as members of the community are also stakeholders.
All right. Yeah. So tell me, I listened to you speak about especially the effects of it, and it seemed to focus a lot more on the younger folks who've been offended or the abuse per se. Is that more prevalent in terms of it and the effects? We see more younger individuals, especially young ones, young boys, young girls, who show those kind of effects?
Mainly our young girls are affected because you see, as Officer Kutin stated earlier, our most prevalent offense with regards to sexual offenses is sexual intercourse with a female between the age range of 13 and 16. And these are most of the signs we're seeing within that age group, within the females, mainly females, all right? Because we seldomly get reports with males. So, yes, they communicate and they socialize with others via Instagram. They get to know the other partner via Instagram. They become friendly. They are probed via these social media platforms. So, because they say Facebook is mainly for adults, but they engage in activities and inappropriate content via Instagram. I got to know him on Instagram. We met on Grandin's Beach. We met behind the St. George's bus terminus or the Grenville bus terminus after school. And these are some of the things we're trying to crack down on. Yes, we're here to sensitize and to bring awareness. And these are some of the issues that most of these children are faced with. Yes, social media is good and it has its bad. But parents now, my advice to the parents is you need to know what your children are doing. Yes, in order to help us, the officers, to crack down on it, because it's costly for the state law enforcement. We have to take statements, we have to convey that person to seek medical attention. Yes, it's time consuming, and the thing is that we have to get psychosocial intervention sometimes for these well, not sometimes, all the time, because we have to work with stakeholders to come together with us to get these persons to seek medical attention. So we also have to highlight here the Child Protection Authority, because they work together with us daily when we have children under the age of 16 who would have been sexually assaulted.
No, let's just a slight diversion in terms of after you find out about the effects that these youngsters may have gone through, whether they are children or even adults who do have effect, will have some form of effect from being of course being sexually offended. How does the monitoring of this situation complete now with the Special Victims Unit? In terms of monitoring, let's say this thing has come to, maybe you have gotten hold of the perpetrator per se, and these youngsters now, that's where you come to the psychological part of it steps in. How does the special victim units work around with that?
Right. At the Special Victims Unit, we are not a body that operates on our own.
I understand.
Right? We collaborate with a lot of stakeholders. And by that I mean Ministry of Social Development, Gender-Based Violence Unit, Child Protection Authority, even Probation Unit. Now, when it comes to monitoring, it happens on different levels. After the offense has been committed, there must be a mechanism in place to work along with the offender also. And the Ministry of Social Development Probation Unit deals with offenders who are in conflict with the law, and they are tasked oftentimes with along with the police. They work along with the police, tasked with social inquiries, victim impact statements. They go into the community, sometimes they come with us, and we follow through and see the history, and even going forward to see what other counseling or support is needed for them, so to prevent these offenders from being repeated offenders. And in so doing, after sometimes most of them may spend, or some of them may spend time in prison in custody, they have to be reintegrated into society, and that is another process again, which also helps with the monitoring and development of that offender. Yes, so different stages.
You know, I asked that question because we hear from time to time, we hear sexual offenses happen, individuals get picked up, or whoever caused the offense to the individual, and then we hear, you know, or we see them back in the community, like, and we wonder, well, what has been done about that? You understand? What has been done? Or is it that individual just left the room again, commit the same crime? But you also, you know, there's a form of monitoring that takes place.
Yes.
You understand?
In addition to what I mentioned earlier, the court has the monitoring system also. By that, they will be allowed sometimes to be released on bail with conditions, and some of these conditions range from surrendering one's travel documents to prevent them from leaving the state, even going to a police station and report periodically, sometimes daily, sometimes 3 times a week between the hours of 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. And this also is a monitoring mechanism. So we have a hold on them, because it is also the rights of the offender to have bail, providing that the judicial system determines that they will get it. And if they do, there is mechanism in place to monitor, and along with the police to see to it that they do not repeat these offenses. And of course, if they do, there will be consequences, and then the whole issue of bail is revoked, and they will be left to be placed at Her Majesty Prison.
All right.
For better monitoring.
One of the other criteria, they should have no contact with the victim and any other witnesses on that said case or matter.
All right. Now let's talk about preventative measures that individuals can protect themselves per se, especially from sexual offenses. Because, you know, sometimes folks put themselves in a way that they could be preyed upon.
Yes.
We said that from the initial stages of the conversation. What are some of the preventative measures that you would like to send out there, especially to the viewing and listening public this morning? I think that they should do the do's and don'ts per se, in terms of not getting themselves becoming a victim of sexual offense.
Okay, so I would do some, and let also Farry do some. Because there's many, Right. There's no hard and fast way of going about preventative measures and protecting yourself. But what I like to put on top of the list is knowledge, information. Because if you know better, definitely you do better. Appreciating what is and what is not, putting in a better position to make decisions in the future. And with that too, we must reiterate again on the issues of parents and guardians. Be in the know. Don't allow your child to have more knowledge than you in social platforms, and you saying that is young people think. Don't do that. As a parent, this is your business and your responsibility to be in the know. You know, so these are two of my contributions, and Officer Farry do the rest.
All right.
I would encourage persons to be vigilant. Parents teach your children from tender years inappropriate and appropriate forms of touching, because if you start educating your children at early years, then they would be open with you when Mr. Harry comes to give them monies or sweets or so. And I believe the better the relationship is with your child or children, then you would understand when they have an issue like signs and symptoms, you would know when something happens with them. All right. Ensure that, for instance, your child is going out. Ensure that they are properly supervised. Ensure that they're in the care of an individual that will make sure that they are safe. Not because you know Tom, you would send the child out with Tom. Ensure that, okay, that person is going to the ball or to the fair, but make sure they have a proper transport to get them there and to get them back home safely. We do not want to find them in any alleys, like, oh, well, we have to wake up in about 4 a.m. in the morning or the wee hours of the morning to go and find that child who is raped and abused because she didn't have a transport or he didn't have a transport to get back home safely. So we encourage you to be more vigilant, to supervise your children. Do not leave them home unattended and you gone to parties. Because you could, so many things can happen. They can get raped, or fires can stem from that, house fires, and we're trying to prevent and crack down on a lot of things.
Right.
So we're here to make sure that you're sensitized and awareness, because education is key. And if you do not educate your child, someone else may do it for you. Don't send your child over to the neighbor to collect monies that you would have asked for. Go for it yourself, because most times what they're doing is probing your child or grooming the child to have an intimate relationship. We would have had issues with that, where, oh, godfather touching child on the breast or vagina or genital organs. This is a no-no. You ask the godfather for $2 borrow or a pound of sugar. I'm just bringing it down as simple as possible so you can understand today. Go for it yourself. Yes, some of us want to lie down and then the child is being abused and they're not saying anything because he's probing them, giving them a $20 to keep quiet, saying, oh, if you tell mommy, then she would not send you back or you will get in trouble. And sometimes the children don't say anything. Parents, please don't expose your children to abuse.
All right. Interesting preventative measures there. Now let's just chime in a little bit, especially on the parenting part in terms of prevention, because you know parents are supposed to play a very important role a very pivotal role, as that's word in place there, in terms of noticing if they in terms of taking care of their children.
Yes,
you understand. And we see from time to time, or we may have even noticed in our communities, that parents are allowing their children, especially girls, well, you know, boys are involved in it now, to just be out at odd times.
Yes,
you understand. I have certainly noticed in my area. I said, when I was a younger individual, I mean, I can't be outside after 7 p.m. And I'm noticing now youngsters at really young age, 10, 12, are outside 2 in the morning. You understand? So I'm wondering, where is their parents per se? And when these incidents do happen now, what are some of the consequences per se in terms of parent that a parent could run into as the Special Victims Unit that you would like be able to speak about?
Well, even before we go into what some of the problems that parents could run into, the law gives provision to guard against that. And I was speaking on two folds, right? The first is in respect to the Child Protection Authority Act, right? Section 72, all the way from subsection 1 to 5, that speaks to guardians, to duty bearers, that if you have information that suggests that that child is in need of protection, a harm, right, take a child away from that, and you fail to bring it to the notification of the police or even to the Child Protection Authority or other authorities, then you are liable to offense and you can be fined up to $5,000 or to 3 months in prison, right? So let me recap that a little bit.
So let me just cut you there. So you're saying if a parent has knowledge, more or less, that their son or daughter is being offended and is not bringing it to the attention of the authorities, they could be fined.
They could be held accountable, right? And then on the criminal code side of it, the criminal code section 183C, what it says is that in respect to sexual violence, so the first part I dealt with deals with a child in need of care. So if a child is not taken care of properly, then basic necessities and care is not provided for, not attending school and being abused physically, verbally, psychologically, and you have that information, it is your business to inform the authorities so that we can have intervention and have that child in a proper, a safe environment. Now, 183 of the criminal code says that if you have information as a guardian or a parent of a child who is being sexually violated, You have to. You are mandated by law to pass the information on. And if you fail to do so, you are liable to a fine of $15,000 or up to prison time, 7 years, or even to both. So I say to say it is our business to know and to look out for children, their best interests. And if you fail to do so, there is consequences by law. Right? So to go back to your question you asked, what are some of the problems that a parent can incur? It will be as far as a charge can be preferred against that parent. And that's a big problem there. Because our objective is not always, even as police officer or law enforcement, to criminalize parents or guardians. We try to help. That's why we are here today, to sensitize the public. That's why we are on matches. That's why we are at schools and at community forums to educate and to help provide service. And one of the basic things in law, ignorance is no excuse. It is your business to know. And if you don't know, you will know by force or willingly. So what is your choice? Let us look after our children and the best interests, and let's be a better society altogether. Because not only the police business, it's all of us business.
Interesting there. What are some of the signs that, especially folks who've been abused, for that parents should pay a lot of attention? What are some of the signs that you could actually say this morning to the viewing public over there who may have been noticing these things, that my son or daughter probably has been abused, but I may not know per se, but there are signs I've been noticing, but probably never thought, well, that's something is wrong.
So let me say part again, right? There are physical signs, and then there are non-physical signs. If a person is abused physically, you will see marks, right? You will see a black eye, and they be unable. The victim oftentimes gives some ridiculous response as to how they came about it. They might see a black eye, and the response might be, "I fell down the stairs." What is the likelihood of that? I might see it happening over and over. So these are physical signs. You might see withdrawal. You might see the person is no longer interacting with the peers or the co-workers the way they used to. It's sometimes drawn back or spaced out. And then you have obviously these are some of the non-physical signs, the drawback aspects of it. So as I said before, there is no hard and fast signs, but it's important to pay attention to change of behavioral patterns.
All right. It's K105 GBN TV. It's to the point for today, Thursday. We're taking a break. We're coming right back. Don't stay with us, folks. We're coming right back.
This could be out. Brilliant catch. What a stunning catch.
The biggest party in sports, the Caribbean Premier League, is back and live on GBN television. Capture the energy, excitement, and euphoria of the beloved game. 34 matches, 6 teams, only one to be crowned champion. The action starts August 31st and runs until September 30th. Live on GBN television and K105.5 and 105.9. It's no carnival, but you will enjoy the mass.
And you're kidding me! You are kidding me!
GBN's broadcast of the Caribbean Premier League is made possible by Republic Bank, we're the one for you, National Lotteries Authority, Hubbard's, Grenada Electricity Services Limited, Hard On Plus, and Demerara Mutual Life.
Welcome back once again, folks. We're inside the final segment of To The Point for today. Just a bit of program note for you. Don't forget, we got cricket coming up at the top 10 this morning. And it's the T10 competition, folks. And that comes up at 10 a.m. this morning, just directly a little after To The Point here. So we're back with officers this morning from the Special Victims Unit. And we continue our conversation on sexual offenses. And a question I would like to get into this segment in terms of the public getting involved per se. see? Because sometimes, people know of offenses happening and they just want to keep quiet. You understand, a neighbor may know something is happening, a friend may know something is happening, but they just want to keep quiet. What are some of the what are the ways the unit would like to get information or ways they have received information from the public per se, who may think they want to get involved, but want to keep it on a low, if you want to say it that way.
Okay, so I will take that one. With regards to communication or passing on information to the unit, we have a hotline, 400. It's called 400. All right, we launched or erected a sign on the terminus not too long ago. So if you have an issue, you can look up on your walk on the pavement, and you'll see we had erected one of the billboards there, right next to the tourism or the authority sign. It's 400, or you can call us on 440-4739, or you can call 911 if you have any challenges, or you can contact the CID on 440-3921. And if you want to make a complaint, you don't have to be known. You don't want to be known. You can say, okay, well, you want to make a report, but you want to remain anonymous or a concerned caller. You suspect that something is happening within your community and you would like to report it with regards to sexual violence or domestic violence or some form of child abuse. Then you have a right to report it. It's your business as well, because if it affects, sexual violence does not only affect the individual, but it also affects the family as well as members of the community. So we have a responsibility. It's your business. Yes, as I said, tourism is everyone's business. Sexual violence is everyone's business in Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. So if you observe that there's an incestuous relationship going on in a home, then yes, they could say a fast, but it's your responsibility to report it. We have a community here in Grenada, and I applaud you, because yes, we look out for each other. And yes, when I remember in my mom days, and maybe the commissioner and whoever days, the community grew up a child. But today now, because of the modern era and the Facebook and the Instagram and so forth, we become a modernized society where everybody trying to mind their business. You're in houses now where abuse is going on, but no one knows, because mommy comes home, daddy comes home, social media. The child have a problem and you wouldn't even figure it out. So these are some of the numbers. You can contact us via these platforms. When you contact us, then we would ensure that we conduct an investigation. We liaise with the stakeholders and we work together as a team to curb the issue.
All right. So, folks, I guess you got the numbers there. Let me ask one question before we move on. This is just, I thought this come to mind. In terms of when offenses occur, especially with victims and the perpetrator per se, and what is encouraged most of the time from the special victim unit in terms of a settlement nature? Do you encourage a settlement nature, or you make sure that there's a criminal charge brought against an individual? What is that kind of ticklish in terms of a question to ask?
No, it's not ticklish. These are real life issues, and that we face every day. But what we deal with each matter is on its self basis. Right, because every case is different and unique, and every matter will require different types of intervention and professional help. So what we do at the unit is not hard and fast lock up. Really, we understand there's offenses and there need to be consequences, but we have more a social intervention and see to it that each party get their respective assistance professionally to help them from discontinuing being a victim, break the cycle, or have the perpetrator discontinue their criminal act or conduct. So it's really about helping people and building community in a law enforcement approach.
All right.
Right? So it is holistic, and it is joining in all the stakeholders to be a part of preventing sexual violence. And that is our approach. A case-to-case basis approach.
I certainly like that answer that you give, because folks just sometimes feel, well, I did this, let me talk, and they decide, well, I'm gonna pay a little money and just get this wrapped up. I'm gonna pay this money and just get that wrapped up. It's not like that.
No. And we don't want to encourage, and it's not an encouragement to have monies paid. Offense committed.
You hear of issues like that has happened. Pretty much they decide to settle it out of court and I'll settle it in some way or the other, and then you see everybody sort of go back to so a normal, so a way of normalcy for per se. You know.
But I must admit, this is the mentality a lot of people have. And that is why our approach is to deter that or to change that mindset from perpetrators. And you would hear offenders say, you know, honestly, this is the best that happened to me. I'm a better person. Because what perception they had before coming in contact with us and our stakeholders is no longer. And one of the stakeholders we left out really is legal aid and counseling, where they deal with a lot of man-to-man programs, anger management issues. And I say that to say again that the mentality they had before is changed.
All right.
They understand that what they done was wrong and what they done has not to continue anymore. And now I'm equipped with the knowledge to go forward in life with a different mindset, being a better individual. You know, this is our approach.
All right. Because, you know, counseling do go a long way.
It does.
It do go a long way. Because sometimes folks look at the individual as prey and they just see that I'm just going to act on it because, you know how social media and the world works these days. You see things happening and you may think it's okay because you may see it happening somewhere else. Okay? You know, people have a way of their mind absorbing things. You understand? I may just think it's okay. And then when you get to the meat of the matter and understand that what you have done is wrong.
Yes.
You understand? It could be a way of changing you as an individual.
And I can give a simple example that happens every day. Every day. We see a lot of time there is domestic violence. Even Section 133B of the Criminal Code that speaks to obscene language. We would hear men or women in a relationship cussing each other off, not understanding what they're doing there, verbally abusing a partner. And that may cause now the other person to respond with violence. And there is other things happening after that. Okay. But once you understand that your mouth have to be careful what comes out of it, then you know has prevented a lot of other things from happening. So empowering everyone that comes in contact with us to know that their language, their conduct, their responses, the involvement, the interaction with social media has to be different and responsible. Then you have a responsible individual and a responsible society, therefore reducing crime.
As it goes back to say, you know, one thing will always lead to another.
Definitely.
You understand? You start being verbally abusive to someone, then you will become physical.
Definitely.
You understand?
Yeah.
I want to thank you both officers this morning. This is a conversation we could have for the entire morning because there's still lots we haven't touched. You understand? I want to thank you. We do have to cut the program a bit short this morning. We got cricket coming up in a short. Any closing comments from both of you officers before we take a wrap this morning that you may want to show to the public? Some more advice you want to give, especially if there's a parent who's sitting there listening and know probably of their son or daughters are going through this kind of issue, but maybe still holding back in terms of coming forward with this for various reasons. You said it could be monetary reason involved, so they don't want to say anything, you know, because it could be a partner who's assisting. But do you just anything you want to say finally before we wrap this morning? Both of you, who want to go first?
Okay, so this morning, mommy or daddy, if you're sitting there, my advice to you is if your child comes to you with a report and state that someone inappropriately touched him or her or had sexual intercourse with that person, it's your responsibility to report it. There's one of the offense called mandatory reporting, and you can be charged under Section 183D of the Criminal Code. All right, so it's serious. I want you to report it. Let's break the silence. Speak out now. Let's stomp the dirty man underneath our feet. Yes, some of us are scared of the discrimination and the talking within the community, but at the end of the day, if we can save one soul, we would have saved a lot. Education is key. Continue to educate your children. Education is paramount importance. If you do not understand what the procedures are, then you can reach out to us at the Special Victims Unit. Our hotline is only 400. It's no cost to calling 400. You do not have a charge to it. So please, we are here. We are willing. We are able. We are advocates on behalf of you and members of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. We love you and appreciate you. And the thing is, we're here for you. We are the support body in the RGPF for you. So if you're not comfortable with anyone else, at least be comfortable with the Special Victims Unit. We are here to support you.
All right. And Detective?
Just to endorse my officer here, this is our encouragement. Make a first step. If you have any concerns, just call us, 400. and we will guide you along the path. We will empower you and equip you what is necessary to prevent what's happening.
All right. I want to thank both of you once again for coming this morning and sharing the vital information that was shared this morning to our listening and viewing public out there. I assume lots of it learned this morning in terms of what was shared, especially the folks who may not knew the things that they could do or even ways of preventing this from happening. You understand? Because sometimes that's one of the key things, folks not knowing. You understand? That's where you came in terms of, you said earlier, in terms of the folks educating themselves or the do's and don'ts that could cause themselves becoming a victim. I want to thank you once again, and thanks for being on To The Point.
Thank you for having
It's an honor.
us.
All right. Hey, folks, that's what we go to wrap To The Point for today. As mentioned before, we got cricket coming up. It's the T10, and it's the 60s, they're calling it. It's the men and women's. We do have a game coming up. It's the, what's the game coming up? We got Warriors versus Kings. That's a male. Of course, teams playing there at 10 a.m. this morning. Stick around for that here on K105. That's what we say goodbye for To The Point for today. Thank you, folks, for being part of it.